Matt Gannon, Jers, we are back. The PGA Tour season is officially off and running. Week 2 of the Hawaii swing. You're down there for week 2. This is actually take 2 on the pod. We've never done this before. We got 3 minutes into the pod. We ran into some technical difficulties. We said, you know what? Timeout, like they're going to be doing apparently in TGL tonight. Timeouts are in play. We called timeout for the first time ever, went back, and now we're starting over. So I once again ask you, how are things going? How are the vibes down there in Hawaii? You look like you've even gotten some sun. If people go back and watch last week, I think there's a noticeable change in your complexion. So things seem like they're not doing too bad for you down there in different island though now. Honolulu, not Maui.
I feel like one time we had like a quick start and restop because of the bad Wi-Fi, but that was a full 3 minutes that we had to restart. Of course, as we start recording, the lawnmowers come out because why wouldn't they? But we're here. We're on Oahu, close, like a little bit north of Honolulu currently. And the vibes are high. The vibes are extremely high. The people are great. Did a ton of sightseeing, saw a ton of cool stuff that I probably will never see again unless I come back here. So I cannot complain. How could you complain on the islands? So vibes are high. Let's hit a winner.
Versus all the places that we've done boots. I think Scotland, Largs was sick. Pine was unbelievable. Where's Hawaii fall? If you could, after this trip, you can go anywhere you want but it has to be a boots location. And it's not a tournament. You're just going there to play golf, live life, and hang out. Where would you go, and what's the current power rankings?
The food in Hawaii is really good. It might be 1-1 food so far, truthfully. We didn't really get the best taste of North Carolina is not really where you want to eat barbecue anyway, but we didn't get the best barbecue.
Yeah, it might be. We were just so far outside. Like Pinehurst is like a resort-y area, so it's not like probably the rest of Carolina's like.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a hot take that I would put Hawaii as number 1 travel destination out of the places that we've been to. I will say the golf courses I've played aren't anything absurd. I played a course where Jurassic Park was filmed yesterday. Amazing views, but like one of the worst conditions I've ever seen.
I was going to say, you sent me pictures, and those conditions were
suspect. They were extremely suspect. But I don't know how they maintain the course because it's literally in the middle of 2 mountain ranges, and it took me like 4 minutes on a golf cart to get from like hole 1 to hole 2, and there was a lot of long travel between holes. So it's definitely a bitch to maintain. But they could charge whatever the hell they want because the views are next level. So golf has been all right. Got some nice some mountain views, but over at on Maui, I played the Bay Course Kapalua. That was sick. That was super sick. Like the
rumor has it, and this isn't even a rumor because it was posted on Twitter by Willie himself. You were out there slinging it around with Willie en route. We've talked about it many times before. This isn't a new take. We've said this a million times. The man lives an unbelievable life. He gets to caddy for Sungjae. It's like guaranteed $100K per week. He doesn't really have to do anything. Just hand Sungjae the club and stripes. He is a great caddy. I'm just fucking around. But you hit the links with him as well. What was it like to be with Willie as he was in the process of like Sungjae doing classic Sungjae and coming from a slow first round and firing home? Like, what were the vibes like? I think that's just interesting. It's not a lot of time to get to be with a caddy as he climbs the leaderboard and has a great week. Obviously, he's vibing down there. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's clockwork with Willie and Sungjae. Like, he calls him a robot for a reason. The dude is just next level dialed at most times of his life. Willie knows when he's going to play well. Willie literally said to me that Sungjae is going to shoot nothing. And then he went out and shot that 62 or 61, whatever it was on that Saturday.
Me. Yeah.
That night. So, yeah, I mean, great playing with him, great hanging with him. So shout out Willie. He's just got the best job in the world, and he knows it. He appreciates his life and appreciates his job. All-time guy.
Yeah, awesome guy. And that's what it's all about. Like, yeah, Willie lives an unbelievable life now. Like, it's truly living the dream, but he appreciates it. And at the end of the day, that like you respect that. And that's we love Willie.
Yeah, we talked about like just off topic, this guys with money. You could easily have a lot of money and just be a total dick. But Willie is the furthest thing from that, truthfully. And I just think that's just a great life quality. If you ever do make it in life and have a ton of money, don't be a dick. Because, yeah, you could be a dick with money and no one's going to say anything, but everyone will know. Just have money and be cool. Be a dick.
There you go. Right out of the gates, 5 minutes in on the re-recorded pod, some life advice from Matt Gannon. If you get rich, if life is good for you, be nice. And you can't argue with that. Waialae, you were there today. You wrote probably. I was shocked by how much content you had. Again, as like a person who just is a consumer of the content this week, obviously, like I'm doing research, thinking about things how I normally would, and then I get the report from you, like, let me see what this says. Huge boots report. Probably the most players you've ever written. Is that because Waialae was just so much more accessible? Like, were you just easily able to bounce around because you crushed it out there today?
Oh, yeah. This is definitely the easiest course to walk. Super routed perfectly. Like you could see 2 holes no matter what spot you're in. The front 9 and the back 9 it's like a regular golf course you'd play with your friends. I will say, potential hot take, this is one of the only golf courses I've been to on a professional level that I would say looks better on TV. It didn't really, that I was thinking that today. It didn't, truthfully, and like we're always honest with our takes, like if it takes our breath away, it didn't really impress me too much. Obviously, like the whole 15, 16, the coastal vibes were really cool, but the rest of the holes, just like a normal everyday track you'd play with your friends. And I think that's something because it looks visually very, very easy. And they take this to around -20 every year. It's not like the lowest scoring course of all time, but I do think it's a very easy golf course. Visually, it looks like a course you'd pay $120 for and have a nice Saturday round with your boys, get some nice views of the ocean. But truthfully, I really think Waialae looked a lot better on TV than it does in person.
That's funny because you sent a picture earlier today of that hole. It's that one that goes towards the water with the famous trees that kind of make like a W shape. But then you also wrote in the write-up that like a lot of the holes are not on the water. So is that part of the reason why you're saying it's not like, because obviously Kapalua, you were like, this place is fucking insane. When you turn on Kapalua to start the year, or when I like turn it on here, my girlfriend's first of all always like, fuck, golf is back. Like we're gonna be watching golf all the time. But at the same time, she's always like, damn, this place looks incredible. And I kind of thought the same of Waialae. I was like, this looks dope. It's on the beach vibes, but you were saying more holes inland. Is that kind of the gist?
Yeah, there's truthfully only like 3 to 4 holes that get touched by the water, and those holes are cool, but the rest of them, you're looking up at like houses and highways. So it's not like visually, because it's like right outside Waikiki Beach. It's like super just residential. So it's not really a great views from the other side of the golf course, but down by the water, super nice. And I would say Kapalua, cameras do not do it justice, whereas Waialae, other way around. It looks way better.
All right. Well, there you have it. And yeah, where I was leading with that was the kickoff of like and subscribe if you're listening to this. If you like the content on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, we'd love a 5-star review. If we're deserving, we always say we have to earn those things, and that's what we're going to try our best to do. Obviously, we got the stuff up on the site, $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the monthly. I'm excited. Week 2 of Boots. It feels like we talked about this, you and I, not necessarily on the pod, but the beginning of the year, you were like, I want to go to the Hawaii Swing. I want to do Boots Hawaii. And I was kind of like, that sounds dope. Like, I think this will be really good. But we've only kind of done Boots at majors. You know, obviously those are new courses. We go there, we try to get a feel for what's going on. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's see how it goes. And I would say, from the support we get for it, awesome every single time. And we really appreciate all the people who support us in all the different ways that you do. But I guess I hadn't quite fully fledged out like that there's going to be different courses that where Boots is more valuable than others on the PGA Tour. And in retrospect, and I mean, hindsight's always 2020, Kapalua is such an easy golf course, and a golf course where it really comes down to momentum. And I think that's something that like the Vincent, for example, the AI on the site kept talking about a lot in the previews, was like, this course is so much about momentum and just being able to make a shit ton of birdies. And like round 1 scoring average matters a ton. And if you make a ton of birdies in round 1, you kind of distance yourself and you're hard to catch. And that's kind of how it played out. But in my opinion, having watched it on TV, like Hideki just got white hot with the putter on day 1. He was making everything. And when Hideki gets confident and gets near the lead, he's got dog. Like he just needs to get in position. And in retrospect, to me, it feels like a harder course to Boots because it's so low scoring. And at the end of the day, what you want to see in Boots is guys playing terrible, playing bad, hitting in the rough on every hole, clearly not going to hit the fairways in the tournament. Putting is always hard to judge. Versus this week at Waialae, so much tee to green emphasis, a much more positional course. Ball striking matters more. How do you feel now after doing a week of Boots and now going to Waialae?
Well, I would say, like, first off, Waialae is a much easier walk, and you could see way, way more. Whereas Kapalua, I could only see 2 guys at a time, and I can only get so much information. And also, like, I'm not doing 25,000 steps a day at Kapalua, at Waialae, because it's not routed like that. So yeah, I think it's much more valuable this week than it was last week versus just style of play. I mean, last week we could only get so much out of the boot situation. Like, we had a massive emphasis on long iron play, and yeah, the long iron players came to the top, but we didn't get everything right last week. We're never going to get everything right. This week, I really think we found some differences in the general consensus of Waialae than what we're used to, and that's just because the course is playing a tad different. We're seeing a different style of golf come to the top like we did last year. So hopefully it works out how we're seeing it, and obviously we'll get into that type of stuff. But yeah, this is a very valuable boots week. I will say this is definitely a more valuable boots week than Kapalua.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. And going forward, it's like we'll try to think of courses that make the most sense for boots. And I think, to your point, what really matters to me, and there's, we're thinking out loud. This is a live conversation, about boots that as we, connect on this, we haven't even connected on this type of stuff. It's like, there's certain courses where it's pretty obvious how the course is going to play, like how, even though Kapalua was wetter, which it was, like, that was 100% accurate take. And like the players were talking about it and like everybody agreed. And because of that, iron play is going to matter more than maybe I thought about it historically here. It's not going to be as much flip wedges and stuff. And like, you get guys like Hideki and Colin climbing the board who throw laser beams when they're dialed in. That makes sense. But when I look at Waialae, I see a course that historically there's been a variety of styles of play that have worked at Waialae. And over the last year, 18 strokes were gained off the tee from the top 5 on the leaderboard. Like, an entirely different style of play than it had played over the previous few years. And so when a course has different tactics than what the consensus is, I think those are where the opportunities are. And that's where, like, boots, obviously at majors, is super important, because no one has any data or history on how the course is going to play. This week, I'm super interested to hear about the conditions and how the course is playing, because it sounds like, from what you're seeing, it does sound different than what I wrote up, for example, in the course preview. What are you seeing from a playing conditions? What style of player is going to have success this week versus maybe what you thought when you walked on property this morning?
I love when I see something and then I'll say it to you and it confirms something that you had already researched or said that I didn't even realize. And I saw your tweet about the strokes gained off the tee of the last year and how the recent winners, or the recent top 5 of last year, crushed it off the tee, and that really brought them to the top. Because as soon as I got there, I really thought it would be like, all right, driving accuracy, wedges. And then the more I walked, I was like, okay, I could see a real route for driving accuracy, total driving, really send it off the tee and distance yourself from a strokes gain and just overall.
Yeah, so, and just to cut in there, like you're saying, strokes gained off the tee, like a combination of long and accurate driving, where you're
always
gaining 3, 4, 5 strokes off the tee, like not purely just distance or purely just accuracy. You're saying a combination of those two things relative to the field.
Right. But what I will say, there is, when you think Waialae, you think club down, not even club down, just hit every fairway.
Yeah.
And although, yeah, that's obviously, you want to hit every fairway, there is a real route for bomb and gouge. I'm not even playing. Like, there's obviously spots where you're going to get boned behind a tree. There's a lot of trees, but you can really rip the driver. I will say, and I confirmed from some caddies, the fairways are pretty firm and they're rolling out a lot more than they might have expected. I'm expecting some rain maybe tonight, tomorrow. It did drizzle a little bit today. But I will say, the rough thickness is not nearly as much as the consensus of online is saying. When I sent you the picture of the rough, what was your initial reaction?
My 100% initial reaction, I texted you this, I posted in the Discord, was looks like Flyer Central out of the rough. Like, what I saw from the rough, from the pictures, was not deep rough where like you're not going to have a shot. You're going to have a shot, but you're going to have an advantage by being closer to the green, because if you can hack it out with a wedge, they'll hold the green, or you can bounce it up short. A lot of these greens open up in the front. And so if you're telling me that but at the same time, why I said it was Flyer Central is like, you're going to need to control your ball out of that. If you don't know how to play out of the Bermuda, and obviously we see guys here who have a ton of success, Bermuda players, it's the start of the year. Like, we want guys who are Bermuda familiar, who have been playing on Bermuda over the winter. Like, what I saw was Flyer Bermuda rough, where if you're a good enough driver, and if the fairways are running faster and more balls are just going to go into the rough for every player in the field, like even the good accuracy guys are only going to hit 67, 75% of the fairways here. Like, get it closer to the hole is kind of like what I heard from you and what I saw in the rough.
And I think that's going to be further emphasized even if it does rain, because although the fairways are running, the greens are soft and the greens are holding. But if it rains a little bit, I do not think the fairways are going to soften up a lot, because see if you can understand this. They're very the fairways are very thin and compact versus they're not like thick and squishy. So even if it rains, I think they're still going to hold that firmness. Whereas last week I could feel how thick the grass was. Here it's thin, compact, hard, and I think even if it rains a decent bit, they're gonna stay running. And if that is the case, then the greens will stay softer and make it easier to hold. So we'll have to see tomorrow what the weather does.
Yeah, no, and I think that right there, folks, is Boots ball knowledge right there. Like I totally understand what you're saying, and you talk to the caddies, like they're saying the exact same things. Like that ground, when you walk on it, you can tell the difference between ground that's going to like soak up a lot of water when you're walking on the fairway.
Last week was night and day difference.
Versus ground that's like super tight and the ball's going to it's going to firm up quickly. I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think to summarize it up, like last year, and Vincent the AI up on the site, who I love just as much as Boots. Like I like all the stuff that we do, and we try to combine it together to make the best content that we can. Like I was given the data to him before the tournament, and he was pointing out like off the tee is increasing in importance of this course. Like we do a projection on the site of how many strokes the winner is going to gain for the week in each category. And Vincent was already projecting plus 3.6 off the tee, like almost a full stroke per round, almost a spike performance off the tee. And for you to go there and tell me that that's what you're seeing with your eyes, you're
not getting that anywhere else, by the way. Even if I'm not there, like that's insane stuff from old Vincent.
And at the end of the day, like you tie that all together, and I have no choice at the end of the day, consumer of also Vince Eric's information to make my selections on who I'm going to pick for the week. Like my bias has shifted towards really strong driving. And yes, you have to have a good short game. You have to be a good putter, and you're going to have to gain something on approach to win at Waialae. Like you can't just win by driving it well, but you tie it all together and it's really hard to ignore.
Yeah. This is one of the, I guess, higher total driving Waialaes that I could remember, at least from being here, but also just taking in the golf tournament the last few years. So I do think that's going to be important. There's going to be a path for some guys to really stick irons though, because those greens are soft. And visually, it's a much easier golf course. But there's the fact that they got to 35 under at Kapalua is still insane to me, because that course there's so much undulation and slopes and mountains. Like it's so much harder. I feel like personally, like I think I would shoot 10 shots harder, worse at Kapalua than I would here, which is just crazy because it's not going to be like that.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Kapalua is like, yeah, it's dome golf, but I've said this last year, I think maybe when we went to Travelers, like watching guys just go stupidly low and hit it at the pin on every single hole and drive it down the center every single time and shoot 35 under, it actually makes you appreciate how good they are just as much as when we go to the majors and we watch major boots, like almost more impressive. And that's why obviously not more impressive in like the demonstration of skill, but to watch it, it just shows you that given dome golf, and it also tells you how hard the setups are week to week on the PGA Tour. Like the pins are always placed in the most difficult spots they can possibly think of on the green, where if you short side yourself, you're boned. They put the pins 3 steps off the edge, and you see what happens at Kapalua, where there's just nowhere to hide the pin or nowhere to give danger off of the tee. And the guys show you what they can do, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what these guys do, it's just a joke. And seeing them, obviously, at practice rounds, they have some of the easier pins during the week, and a lot of them are in the middle. So many guys just flying it right at the flag and just stopping. It's like, what a life these guys live. So it's always impressive.
That actually was something I was going to say. Like, obviously, we talked about Willie, but like, how's the vibe for the players? Because when we go to the majors, these guys are locked in.
Oh yeah, I got
super focused. They treat everything as if it is. At the end of the day, it's the pinnacle of the year for them. These guys, every single player in the field is taking it extremely seriously, except for Rory at Pinehurst when he almost won. But when you see the pictures of these guys and you're down there hanging out with them and you're seeing them off the course and you're texting me about it, like it's hard not to just think, wow, vibes must be unbelievable for these guys down there. A lot of guys making their PGA Tour debuts too. It's got to be excellent vibes.
Yeah, especially the guys that have been around the block a few times. You can tell that they're here to to have a good week. And I will say the security in these Hawaiian resorts is some of the lowest security in the entire world. Because even today, I got to park for free at the Kahana Resort. It was called, literally a 2-minute walk from Waialae. And I was planning on going to get my car, just leave. And I walked into the resort, went down by the pool, down by the bar. I see to the left, there's a dolphin show about to happen with like full demonstration, like I'm at SeaWorld. And then to the right is a pool, a hot tub, a resort, and then there's the ocean right next to it. So they didn't ask me anything. They didn't ask me if I was staying here. I could have sat down on a beach chair if I wanted to. And I almost did. I really almost did. Maybe tomorrow. But yeah, it was unbelievable.
Somebody commented on the YouTube video, and they were like, no offense to anyone, but if you want to skip ahead to when they talk about the players for Boots, it starts then. First of all, we have timestamps. All the timestamps are there. People already know. Go listen to whatever you want. That's fine with
Just
that.
go look.
However, a few things. First of all, we were just talking about the course conditions, and which led into this vibe conversation. But at the end of the day, like we were just saying, the course conditions and how the course is going to play is way more important than any individual thing we're going to say about any individual player. Because at the end of the day, the best way, in my opinion, to use the Boots info is find out any sort of edge in how the course is going to play, and then go find the players statistically that match that. Because at the end of the day, yes, seeing a guy play really good in person is a big plus, or playing really bad is something that we're like, no, I am out, and I would stand by that. Like, if you see a guy's playing bad, you can't put money on him. It's just hard to do with your eyes. But you got to listen to the, like, you got to tie everything together from the pod, in my opinion, to get the most out of Boots. And I was mentioning that because you just went on some crazy story about there being no security at the hotels in Hawaii. But at the end of the day, you got to tie it all together to get the full Boots.
That's Boots. Like we wouldn't be potting if no one wanted the stories. That's part of the experience every week, no matter what.
Yeah. So I just had a note. We appreciate the way for me to tie this all together is we appreciate the listeners, and we know people appreciate Boots, and we appreciate people who appreciate Boots. We appreciate the ball knowers. We're trying to give as many details about what is the vibe like, what is happening down in Hawaii for this week's PGA Tour event.
And don't get it twisted. It wasn't just that resort. It's been every single resort, because I went on Sunday to Turtle Bay, a nice little golf course and resort over there. I walked right around the resort, right to the pool area, right to the bar. I guess you're allowed to, but they asked me if I needed any accommodations. Like, I wasn't a guest. I was just exploring. And so up your security game, Hawaii.
And actually, this is an important take, because, Jers, do you remember when we were in Louisville, Kentucky, and we came on the pod and we stated clearly that there was a dangerous traffic situation at Valhalla?
That's just so crazy. That's our biggest Vic of all time.
Yeah. You and I talked about it, and we said, this is crazy. We've never seen anything like this. This is so dumb. And what happened that week, Jers? The number one player in the world, the most owned player on DraftKings, probably, I don't remember what the stats were, the lowest man in the odds board, flying at the top of the game, was arrested and sent to jail. So you never know how it all might tie together.
Yeah, that's just so Boots. There's no one's going to get arrested this week for I mean, I'd hope not. But yeah, that was crazy that happened in Louisville. Vibes are much better here, for sure.
Scotty also, by the way, not playing the Amex like we just talked about on the last pod. We were concerned. I saw rumors he might come back for Amex, not coming back for Amex. I'm just quickly, each pod, we need to stay alert from the situation. If he had come back at Amex, I would have dropped my take last week that I'm concerned that Robot Scotty's starting the year the same way he does every year. But now he's not going to be teeing off till probably Pebble is when we'll see Scotty for the first time. Don't love it.
Yeah, I assume it should be Pebble. So who knows how much he's playing? Because, like you said, if you cut your hand, you can't swing a golf club. So he's definitely pissed.
But for us, honestly, good, because we get to bet these events without Scott in the field. Last week, Hideki won 25-1 Jers, and this is why I kicked off talking about the Boots and the Boots experience and the Boots content up front. Because let's be honest, I texted you on Wednesday while I was putting my card together, and I said, I'm thinking about betting Hideki.
You did say that. You did say
on my
that.
phone. Anybody can come see that. I'll post it. And you said, didn't look great, but that probably means he's going to win. Or actually, you said a number 2, but then you edited it to a W because you mistyped it. I remember it as clear as day. And I thought to myself, I didn't have any reason to like Hideki. The only reason I liked Hideki is because on the pod last week when we talked about him, I was like, he's 25-1 and he's 7th in the dog rankings. And at the end of the day, he's 3rd best player in the dog rankings in the field. And he's 25-1. He wins these types of tournaments. He's played well here before. It's Hideki. Like, fuck it. Then you said he looked like he normally does. And then I wrote up on the site, you wrote up Hideki, and then I added at the end of it, at the end of the day, Hideki's report matters the least out of anyone. But that's Hideki. The worse he looks, the better he plays. And that's on me at the end of the day for like,
that's on a
piece of information. And I should have pulled the trigger because it just, there was no one else who interested me at the top of the board. And at the end of the day, it was the perfect example of strokes gained dog, strokes gained. You're betting outright. You want the person who's going to win the tournament, not who's going to play well. And that's my Hideki reflection of the week.
Yeah, like, and as always, I'll Vic lap when I'm right. I'll own it when I'm wrong. I'll say I was wrong about Colin Morikawa last week. I thought he was going to play horribly. But Hideki, I don't think what I said about Hideki was at fault at all. I said he did not look great, but we all know when Hideki doesn't look great, this is not a hot take at all. Whenever he has those injury rumors, that's when he wins. And visually, Hideki looked slow, looked lethargic. And I, like Adam texted me, I said, yeah, this looks like Hideki will probably win because he looks like shit. So that's Hideki. Hopefully we get some better results or eyes to bets this week because we didn't quite land on Hideki at Kapalua.
And at the end of the day, it's my fault for I was gonna bet like I was between Decky or going and I ended up betting Ben on. Why would I bet Ben on at 35-1 when he sucks at golf and is not going to win any big tournaments versus Hideki who wins big tournaments all of the time? And my fault as a better, we're still in the New Year's resolution phase, is that's just overthinking. That is just being dumb. Hideki at 25-1 last week, nobody was on him. Like, if you're somebody who bet it, I saw people on Twitter who bet him. Congratulations, good call,
great call.
25-1 Hideki. What
with no Scotty, with no Rory,
like I
Xander who hadn't played golf since the Open.
Yeah. And then Colin, like, and to be fair, you said you're out on Colin. We'll Vic when we want to Vic, and we'll take negative when we're negative.
I deserve the negativity from Colin for sure.
At the end of the day, we're the strokes gained dogs guys. And how do you get strokes gained dog? You reflect on mistakes and you get better and you improve. That's how you get strokes gained dog. I think we crush boots a vast majority of the time. And what I was saying was, you were out on Colin. You said early in the week you didn't like what you were seeing from Colin. I wrote up before you sent me anything on the site. I was like, Colin 10-1 is my man to beat this week. Like, going into the week, everything pointed to Colin. I picked Colin in the one and done show before the year. And it just was, that happens sometimes. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. At the end of the day, you were off on Colin. But what was it like how'd you feel watching it? Is somebody like, you're a man who gives your takes, and I would say your takes are right most of the time. Like, if you say like last week and even this week, still, like, nothing changes for me. I'm taking your word 100% on everything, like single thing that you say. Were you stressed watching Colin? Were you like rooting actually against him? Because it was pretty clear pretty early on he was dialed and he was gonna play good for the week. So, and what I was saying was, I was a little skeptical when you said he was playing bad. I was like, I love Colin this week, but I changed completely and I was out on him too. Yeah. So as soon as he started playing good, I was like, fuck, Colin's going to play good this week.
I mean, the more of these we do, the more boots I do, I'm going to have a worse take. And I hope that Colin take was my worst take forever. But yeah, I wasn't getting nervous, but I was like, wow, I was objectively wrong on Colin Morikawa. From my eyes failed me last week. And if my eyes were right 100% of the time, we would never lose a bet. So I'm not mad about it. We're getting back to the boots. I put them on. I went to the Timberland outlet, got some new boots, and we went to the Sony Open, and we're doing the thing again. If you're gonna shit on me for the Colin take, not you, just anyone in general, where were you when we said Scotty had no chance at Pine? Where were you when we said all of those things? All of those.
Where were you when you hit Xander twice last year in the majors? Like, yeah, that's all of this to say. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have to apologize.
But we should touch on the strong bad ones.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, all of this is because, and I feel like this is what the pod is all about. We're thinking out loud here. we're trying to come up with the best strategies that we can possibly come up with, and we text about it all the time. So some good reflection always worthwhile. And what I'll say too about Hideki, last thing on this, when you watch Hideki on TV, you can't tell if he hit a good shot or not. How could, like, knowing if Hideki, that's why we said before the tournament that, like, how Hideki's playing doesn't matter whatsoever. Like, we already said that.
We should just avoid him from now on.
The only time we saw Hideki looking genuinely like not going to play good was when his back was broken at Valhalla, and he wasn't even playing. Like, he wasn't even hitting shots. But when you watch Hideki on TV, he'll almost hole out, and he'll look like he just shanked it off the planet. So how could it's impossible, in my opinion, to boot Hideki. Going forward, I genuinely think if Hideki looks bad, we increase the likelihood of him winning the tournament.
Did you see the video of Deets watching Hideki swing, and Hideki obviously had like a one-arm finish, and Deets was like, "What, dude? That's like down the middle of the fairway." I don't know if you saw it, but PGA Tour posted it. So that just goes to show. Like, hard to predict Hideki.
Tommy Deets having a front row seat. Tommy Deets having the front row seat to Hideki, who at the end of the day, the Vic lap, like I'm genuinely Vic lapping this. There's a reason I created the dog rankings. It's for myself to, before the tournament, really remind myself who is somebody who, if they go to the back 9 of the tournament near the lead, that I actually think they're going to win. Because one of, in my opinion, the dumbest things you can do in betting is, like, why would I bet on someone who, when they go to the back 9, if they're tied for the lead, I genuinely don't think they have any chance of winning? It's like, what was the point of betting that person in the first place? Hideki has dog, and Colin, he's a top 20 dog player. Going into the final round, the whole time, I thought Hideki was going to win. From Thursday on, I was like, it's Hideki to beat. He's higher in the dog rankings. We have the dog rankings for a reason. But for Tommy Deets to have a front row seat to 2 top 20 dog players battling in a clear shootout, and also then
came off on him?
Terrible, I don't know if it was good or bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got Tommy Deets right. He was just driver putter all the way. Lost like 2.5 on approach last week.
Yeah. Plus 5.6 off the tee from Tommy Deets, losing accuracy. So just nuke driver off the tee. Negative approach, and then positive around the greens, and plus 4.8 with the putter. But yeah, in the final round, he lost. He shot 71 in the final round, only 1 under or 2 under at Kapalua in the final round. That's terrible. So I genuinely don't think Deets ever wins. I don't know. Do you he can win?
If you can't win Sudal, like, can you win anywhere?
What he does on the DP World Tour is why I say this more than anything. When he plays on the tour, he hasn't done anything like truly awful. Where it's like, if somebody only watched the PGA Tour and they saw Deets, right, but he had no chance of winning the tournament. There was no world where he was going to beat. No. But there's been so many times on the DP where he's like the favorite in the tournament, or in Sudal, he's playing on home soil, and all he has to do is just not fuck it up entirely, and he has fucked it up every single time. And at some point, maybe he'll just never win. What's the state of the union on Deets? Because he's playing this week, I believe, and I'm sure there's people who are interested.
Yeah, he's like 70-1. I assume he'll be popular. I did not see him today, but I'm gonna definitely want to get eyes on him tomorrow. Obviously, going into this, I don't really love this course for Tommy Deets, but yeah, I wonder what the state of the union is on him. But no, I don't want to say he'll never win, but it's tough to like what you see from Tommy Deets in contention for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I could easily see him play well this week, making a shit ton of putts, getting his name in the mix. But he's one of those guys, and this is where the dog rankings come from. When you're like watching on TV, you don't think he's going to win. There's no part of me that thinks like Tommy Deets has a chance. And so because of that, when I give takes on Tommy Deets and say he's not going to win, it doesn't mean he might not finish second every tournament, or he might not finish third. The closest he came was Houston, when he almost beat Scotty. If he beat Scotty,
made nothing. That was like one of the days where it was like Rory Sunday at St. Andrews, literally made 0 putts that day. So, and maybe it's just the guys aren't with him, and they definitely aren't. So,
well, starting it off with Tommy Deets was not how we expected to go down the board. Theegs, 35-1. And all I'm going to say is Theegs has been a favorite in these type of fields before. Not over Hideki. Like, honestly, at Fortinet, when him and Hideki are in the field, they're both near the same spot in the odds range. Like Theegs could be the favorite in this tournament on another day.
And no one will bat an eye. Yeah.
And he
He was a
hasn't
better
played great.
number or worse number at Kapalua. He was like 28.
He hasn't played good here. He was T48 in his debut, missed the cut last year, but also last year he was coming off of the contention at Century where he blew the tournament. He was probably pissed. Inherently, this is not a golf course where you think of Theegs, but I don't know if there is a golf course that is a Theegs course. He can play good sometimes. He can play bad sometimes. He's 35-1. You're boys with Carl and Theegs. Every single day you're texting me that you're seeing Carl and Theegs. These are our guys. They're friends of the pod. All that to say 35-1 on Theegs. What are we thinking?
Could not be better, guys, truthfully. And yeah, it's always the number with Theegs. It's week in, week out. Form, obviously, yeah, form matters a little bit, but you bet Theegs at good numbers. You don't bet Theegs when he's a favorite, rarely. And the only golf course that I just Theegs is auto on for me is courses where you can really drive it anywhere. Those are his best chances, I would say, to win on paper. But if you can nearly win at Travelers and then you could nearly win at Kapalua, you don't really have a course fit. It's kind of is the week right for you. And I think it's a great number on Theegala. I like their outlet caddy and player. I mean, their outlook on the week caddy and player. We're saying we could bomb and gouge a little bit around here more than normal. And Theegs is a creative birdie maker who should be able to stop the ball in these soft greens and make birdies. So I think you can make a lot worse bets than a 35-1 Sahith Theegala in this field.
Yeah, and I think so. I also tweeted another thing up on the site, and shout out to Vincent the AI. At the end of the day, the winner of this tournament usually gains 2 strokes or more around the greens. Like, you got to scramble here, and you talked about it on the site. And when it comes back to the course conditions, the rough around the greens is is deeper than the rough on the fairways. And what I could see happening a lot of the times is, like, if you hit it in the rough, and again, you get those flyer lies that I was talking about that are difficult to control, you could be missing greens and the ball just kind of trundles off into the rough, not crazy far away, but you've got to get it up and down consistently. The player most likely, according to the stats, to have a good week around the greens is Theegs. And he is sensational around the greens. I trust him in all different types of conditions, Bermuda, bent, POA. It's Theegs. It's like Hideki. You don't know when he's going to play good. You don't know when he's going to play bad. You take Theegs when the number is good. You don't chase it when the number is bad. And in this type of field, usually I say 70-1 on Theegs, but that's in like a serious tournament. At Waialae, in this type of field, 35-1. And when I say that, I've bet Theegs below that a million times. So that doesn't mean I listen to that rule. I'm just saying 35-1 relative to what his number usually is in this tournament. I kind of am leaning towards betting him, if I'm being honest. Is he under consideration for you?
Definitely under C. Surely under C.
All right. Hideki's playing, obviously. He won last week. Does he have any chance this week? You declared no chance on Colin. And at the end of the day, to round back, you were right. He had no chance. He didn't come close to winning. He in that state, he didn't win. But does Hideki have a chance this week?
Hideki is a golfer who he might not even know that he won last week. He could just still go lights out, white hot mode, and just keep the pedal down. Like, I would not be surprised if Hideki just goes scorched earth. Am I betting a 9-1, 10-1 Hideki? No. Did I see Hideki today? No, he's probably not even practicing till tomorrow. Maybe enjoying it during the IHOP stack that he has after his wins. So I'd like to see him tomorrow, but I'm not really even considering Hideki. I don't really think many people are.
At the end of the day, Hideki, and this is why now it's stunning that he played well at Cap. Like, he is a momentum guy. When he has momentum, he is a golfing machine. And that's why it was fun to watch him, even though the scores were 35 under. He holed out from the fairway in the final round. The guy was absolutely stupidly dialed. And when he starts seeing putts go in, he turns into the confidence becomes unstoppable. And his golf swing and technique is obviously maybe the best in golf. He hits it perfectly.
Yeah.
So
stud.
To that point, could he continue on this week? And of course, he's won before. Yes, but like, he would be 20-1 if he didn't just win last week. So I agree. Like, I can't get there. Corey Connors, he's 16-1. I'll tell you right now, I already retired from betting under 20-1 for this year, so I wouldn't consider this at all, but I would never consider this ever anyway.
Is this the worst number of the year so far?
No. It's not the worst number of So far, actually, let me think about it. I bet Ben on it 35-1. That's the worst number of the year, and I bet it. So that was terrible. This is probably second. Do you think Connors can win? I think he'll play fine. You liked what you saw from him today there.
Yeah, night and day from what I saw last week with Connors. And although he played well last week, I'm going to Vic Lap what I saw with Connors last week. He did not really swing it great last week. He posted I believe it was the best putting performance of his career last week at Kapalua. So if Corey Connors is going to beat you with a hot putter, like, be my guest. I don't think that's going to happen again. He did swing it better though this week. At least today, he looked a lot more confident, and I think that just goes to show he's so comfortable on this golf course. He's played this golf course a ton, and it makes sense for him on paper. Hit those fairways, hit that tight little draw. Looked really good. Looked really confident. Still not the alpha dog in the Canadians, but Corey Connors I think is going to be in for a good week. Probably in for a T10 finish.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, I don't like this from an outright perspective, and I think that's the hard thing sometimes. Now we're doing both, DFS and bets and stuff up on the side. It's like last week, the 25-1 on Hideki was because it was to win the tournament, 25-1 outright. Like, do I think Connors should play well this week? 1,000%. I think he's going to play quite well. I just can't even consider betting him at these odds. But maybe in other factors, and obviously still got to think through. One of the questions we are going to ask up on the side is Hideki versus Connors this week from a DFS perspective. Do you want one or the other, or neither, or both? Or you can't have both, but what's if you had to pick between those two?
Last night I decided that I think it was going to be Hideki, and I think I'm still going to lean that, at least for now, just because I really like this. The numbers for me. Connors coming off of his best career putting performance. I don't think that's going to hold, and he didn't really hit it the best last week. I will say he looked better today, but I think as of now, Tuesday PM, I'm going to still lean Hideki. I think he'll outplay Connors. The final answer will be up on the DFS preview tomorrow. So for now, it is Hideki. I think Hideki wins that matchup.
Beautiful. And that's totally fair. You got to get more boots. You got to get more intel, and you will report back on who you like there. This next batch of golfers, all around 22, they're all in the 20s. Varying books, different things you can get. They kind of all fall in the next tier of guys. Russ Henley, I believe you were on him when Hideki beat him here. Is that correct? Were you on him that year?
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
All right. T4 last year. He obviously won here on debut. We've got a lot of KFT guys in the field. We'll talk about them at the end. But Henley showed up here and won fresh off of the Corn Ferry, as did Grayson last year. Russ is 22. Tom Kim. I was surprised Tom Kim was 20-1. I wrote up yesterday that you throw a 2 in front of Tom's name against a field like this. I mean, he was the favorite. I think he was like 12-1 a couple of years ago when he first debuted here.
He missed that cut?
Or just played unbelievable at Hero. I mean, I was looking. He that second round or third round 62 he shot there, almost gained 10 strokes on the field. He played unbelievable that day. You throw a 2 in front of him, it almost feels like a trap to me, where it's too obvious. Like, why wouldn't you just bet Tom Kim 20-1? But we just talked about not overthinking it. So Russ or Tom, are they interesting? And how do you feel about Tom being 20-1 this week? Because to me, it was higher than I expected.
I think both of these guys I'm gonna short as if I can. I didn't really love what I saw. I think we'll save the boots report for the site because it was one of the most interesting boots report on Tom specifically that I've seen. But Russ, he didn't really play great last week. He didn't really hit his wedges great, and I saw that earlier in the week, and I feel like that's continuing here. I saw him on a hole or two where he hit 3 straight tee balls. Didn't seem happy with any of them. You never want to see that. He went back out for a second 9, which is never a great sign. Russ on a golf course that makes a ton of sense for him. Yeah, he should be comfortable. He should be confident. He should want to play well. I think I'm going to lean with Tom, although I didn't like what I said with him. He's a younger, has more wins in front of him, has higher ceiling in front of him than a Russ who didn't look great last week, doesn't look great today.
Yeah. Like I said, the Tom seems obvious. If Tom wins at 20-1, it'll feel stupid. It'll be like, why don't I just bet Tom at 21? Same thing like Hideki.
I think I would live with it though.
But that's the thing. Either of these, I'm not rushing to bet Russ at 22-1. I don't need to bet Tom. I'm good on both of these guys. The next two are interesting to me. One of them is because of strokes gained dog, and we know this guy can win tournaments, and that's Keegan Bradley. He is about 30-1. You can get a 30 on Keegan. Obviously, he should have won here last year. Mav McNeely, He's 28 to 1. Mav is, we said last week, Mav is either going to show up with confidence or there's going to be too many lights on Mav and he's going to shrink. He showed up and striped it again. Now, it was typical Mav in that once he got up there, he brought nothing to the table, really. He dropped, once he got in the mix, he was out of the mix pretty quickly, which is what he used to do. But now he's won. So, and then the third guy, Bobby Mack, who is playing unbelievable golf right now. Bobby Mack's playing tee to green, some of the best golf in the entire world. Like, Bob Mack, to me, is in the process of becoming the high quality, top of the world player that people have been saying he's capable of for a very long time. He got into mixes at majors at a very young age. People always talked about his talent. He won twice on the PGA Tour last year. In his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 last starts, he's won twice on the PGA Tour. So there's three guys that I think are compelling in the 28 to 33 to 1 range. And when we're talking about Keegan, for example, or specifically Bobby Mack, I get the same vibes as when we were talking about Hideki last week, just in the spot of the board where you can easily have him on the card. I'm kind of interested in all three. What are your thoughts? And maybe how would you rank these guys?
Yeah, I saw Keegan and Maverick today. Maverick looked like the floodgates are opening. Maverick looked like he got that win and he's ready to keep contending. And those numbers statistically are showing that. Like, look at Maverick's approach numbers of late. He's never really done that in his career. He's always struggled on approach. Maybe he found something in his swing. Maybe him having his little brother on the bag is freeing him up. But the dude looks like the number one Stanford golfer of all time. They don't call him that for nothing. Keegan, he did not flush as hard as I saw him flush last week. Got off to a nice start at Kapalua. But I think I would live with a 25 to 1, 22 to 1, whatever. Keegan. Last year I bet him. Obviously he blew it, but that was over double the number last year. So I'm going to definitely pass on Keegan this year. Bobby Mack, I didn't see him, but I didn't realize how hard he was striping. I think I would rank this Maverick, Bobby, then Keegan.
As you talked about that, because last night I was leaning Keegan. I had in my head that I was going to bet Keegan. But I think Mav is the play here. Floodgates. And here's what. First of all, floodgates. And one thing that I wrote this up on the site, players who have won this event, a lot of them have won an event in the fall. A lot of them have played really good in the fall, at least spiked and gotten to contention in an event. A lot of them obviously have played the Century to get warmed up. And a lot of them have good course history and have a certain aspect of their game, specifically the short game, that is consistently good at this course. And yes, Keegan's obviously played well here before, but in 2023, Mav was 7th here. He's putted well here 2 years in a row. He's clearly comfortable on these surfaces. Striping, has a great short game. He can, at the Players, he gained 8.4 around the greens. I don't care what you ever do ever again. If you can do that, you've got talent. He's a plus around the green player. And it seems so short. 28 to 1 on Mav seems like a terrible number. But if the floodgates are open, that's a good number.
You're right. And that definitely suits into my overwhelming Maverick McGilly take. When I first started betting Maverick McGilly, weak field, bad number. But it might be a good number, though. It might be a good number. So I don't think I could fault anyone for betting a 28 to 1 Maverick McGilly because he won it 33 to 1. Not that far off in a similar enough field, I guess. But yeah, I like where your head's at with that.
Yeah, because of the fall events, the RSM has a lot of these same guys in the field. Like, obviously Hideki's not there, but you can't convince me that Connors is more likely to play good than McNeely. Like, to me, they could both play well if they got in the mix. I'd probably want the better number. So I'm not committing to Mav right now. I should, because last week when I talked about Hideki really well, I should have committed on the spot, but I kind of just talked myself into Mav, and I just don't hate it. Siwoo's next. We were on Siwoo. Were you on Siwoo last week?
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
I was on him too, purely number play. He started okay and then completely played terrible. He's 35 to 1. Any chance that he can win again here?
I think it's a good number. It's a Siwoo golf course for sure. I'll leave it at
that. Next up is an interesting guy, given the conditions. Kurt Kitayama is actually, when I said Bobby Mack was striping, Kurt is Scotty striping tee to green. Yeah. Honestly, he is playing so good. And at the end of the day, when Kurt is dialed, he won an API. This guy gets dialed. He almost won the PGA Championship at Oak Hill. His stats are unbelievable. We talk about seeing a lot of green. Go look at Kurt. Except with the flat stick. The flat stick is not good. Any thoughts though on Kurt at 40? Maybe he practices putting over the winter. You got any intel on Kurt?
The dude has a million new sponsors, like a full billboard. He's got the bag. Look, maybe he needs the money. I don't know, but Kurt has a million new sponsors. He's with Bridgestone now. He's wearing the Bridgestone hat, which is rare for Kurt. But yeah, he striped it today. He looks so confident. He's just an absolute flusher of the golf ball. I don't know if I love the 40. Oh yeah, we saw him look horrible. He was striped. He striped hard.
I have
but the putter though, like that's what
he was T24 here last year. He almost won Honda. He won Bay Hill. He's a Bermuda guy. When he plays, he's played good on positional Bermuda. I'm not probably going to bet him.
I can't tell if the 40 is a good or bad number. I really can't.
I'd lean towards it being a bad number because
remember how bad he put at the Black D.
I had him.
I know you did because he was striping to another level. It was like generational.
Tee to green. Well, I had this is honestly
Glover.
The Black Desert is the worst beat of my life. I had Glover and Kitayama per round. Glover gained 3.5 tee to green, 3.4 per round on approach. Kurt gained 3.2 per round tee to green and 2.6 on approach. The next closest guy in the field was Joey Brams getting 2.5 tee to green. And on approach of somebody who made the cut, the next closest guy was 0.78. They blitzed the field tee to green and on approach, and neither of them won. And some guy on the Corn Ferry who's never played the tour before showed up and won the Black Desert. That was brutal.
Legitimate bad beat, truthfully.
Glover is 100 to 1. What are your thoughts on that?
At first, when I saw Glover, he looked like he hadn't been playing golf in a while, which he probably hasn't been playing too much golf. But then he played a full 18, which is rare for a practice round. I will say, as the day went by, he looked the part. He hit fairways, hit that little tight draw, put it in spots, grinding really hard with the putter, but he needs to grind really hard with the putter. I think as the day went on, I warmed on him, but I just still can't see Lucas Glover winning right now, winning again. I know he won twice a year and a half ago, but I think I'm going to be out on Lucas Glover, but it is a good number. It is a good number on a generational tee to green player.
Yeah. Somebody texted me. Actually, Steve, he's a very good friend of the program of Vincerix. He texted me about Glover because he hit Glover both weeks back to back. When Glover won, he hit him both times.
So did Brendan.
And I hit him at Sedgefield. And then he texted like Glover 100 to 1, we got to be in. And in principle, I agree, because the whole point of strokes gained dog in winning tournaments is Glover a good putter? No. Can he gain 3 or 4 strokes putting? 100%. In fact, he's gained over 4 strokes putting in 2 of his last 3 measured starts. So like the man can do it, and he can win, and he wins every once in a while. So 100 to 1 seems like a totally fair number. But I've bet Glover so many times since then. I think I'm closing in on being negative. So on Glover lifetime, even though I hit him at 90 to 1, but Glover winning at 100 to 1, it's like, it's hard to hit something that's 100 to 1, obviously.
That was infinitely that was infamously the worst bet you ever made. Remember that?
Oh, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point was just that, like, if we're going to come on here and say that dog matters for winning and he's 100 to 1, hey, his stats are good. I don't understand, honestly, why he's 100 to 1. Because if you go look at the stats and you want to find out who is striping the hardest,
he's one of them for sure.
It's Kurt, Hideki, TK, Mav, and then Glover, and then Bob, Mack, Keegan, and Pendy. All those guys are so much lower than Glover on the board, and Glover wins.
And Glover is a guy who's like lives 35 to 1 in these fields. Lives. Like in the last 2 years. It's weird.
So that's Lucas Glover. Do with that information what you will. I saw somebody responded to and said that they used our Hideki conversation to hammer Hideki. So I'm happy to hear that. Shout out to that guy. Posty's 40 to 1. Posty was 45, about the same price he was last week. I really like Posty this week. Davey T is in there. Oh, we skipped over Ben on. Oh, here, let me just give you 4 guys. Let me give you 5 guys. There are varying ranges on the board. Posty's 40, Davey T is 50, Ben on's 33, Austin Eck is 40, and Pendy is 45. Who do you like the most? Which bet of those do you like the most?
I like Ben on and Pendy. I think they're two guys who could blitz the driver a little bit and then get hot elsewhere. I didn't see at that group. I didn't see 3 of those 5 guys. I will say, head over to vinceorix.com. I got about half the field today, a generational level number of boots today. But I didn't see those 3. They're on the short list for tomorrow. But I will say Pendy and Ben on. Even if I hadn't seen anyone, I think those guys can, based on the course, what I saw from the course, those guys can make some noise.
I'm gonna go Davey T, and I'll say I feel like I've got a reasonable feel for some of these guys. I've hit both Davey T and Austin Eck over the last 6 months.
Post. I thought you hit Posty before.
No, I've never hit Posty.
Damn,
I've never hit Posty, but I root for Posty too. Yeah. If I have somebody in the mix and Posty's in the mix and my guy starts to play bad, I'm all in Posty every single time. But when you talk about a potential generational striper off of the tee, Davey T, the man gains off of the tee every single time he tees it up. And at the RSM, he gained over 4 off the tee. He just gained 3.5 off the tee at Century. He was T5 at Shriners. He was right there in the mix. He has played here before. Not great.
What's his number?
50-1. He's made a couple cuts. His short game is sick. He's great around the greens.
Yeah,
he's a guy who
he's a guy who's 25-1 in the fall, a ton.
I think Davey T is legit, and he's 50-1. I kind of like Davey T. So did Davey T's my pick there?
Short list for sure. I gotta go see.
And I agree with you on and Pendy that they can drive it. My problem with Eck, and I think Eckroat can play. I think he can play good. He can play bad. I don't have a strong take on Eck. He is not good around the greens. He almost blew the WWT. Because all he had to do was chip it onto the green, not chip it close to the hole, not chip it in next to the pin to win the tournament. Literally just chip it onto the green, and he couldn't do it. He's not good around the greens. He's an inconsistent putter. He obviously played well here, a couple years ago. So I see why his price is down here. It's just hard for me at 40-1 for a guy who has glaring weaknesses in a couple areas of his game. That's my Eckroat.
Winner though, dog for sure. But that's funny that you said that around the green stuff because, literally 4 years ago, when he was a Corn Ferry Tour college guy, shout out friend Andy Lack. Him and I both saw Austin Eckroat play golf, and we were like, this guy has the worst short game we've ever seen. And it's crazy that it's gotten better, but it's still a glaring weakness in his game. But he's overcome it. You don't just win twice without being a stud. So just funny that still holds up. So shout out Andy.
Yeah, and I think Eck has dog for sure. He's in the dog rankings, but 40-1 it's getting low for me. It's just getting low for me. Harry Hall, Sepp, CK's one, not one here, I don't think, but he always plays good here, right? CK. Oh yeah, fucking always plays good here.
You ask anyone on the street to give you one positional Bermuda guy, what are they saying?
Exactly. Okay, all these guys. Actually, not Hall, but I'll give you I'm going to give you the Bermuda Specialists that are between 50 to 100 on the board. And I want you to choose some Bermuda Specialists that you like this week. I'm going to include Hall in there. He, to me, is
straw hat.
Tavio Polkadin played well last week. I liked him last week. He
played well. Lost.
Do you think Harry? No, this is for the true ball nerds because we're going all over the place. But do you think Harry Hall will be at Bethpage? Can Harry Hall make the Ryder Cup team? He's playing great. Dude. He's better than Matt Fitz.
He's way better than Matt Fitz. Yeah, I think Harry Hall has a real shot if he keeps playing. He was grinding today, crisscross applesauce, laptop. Concerning for this week, truthfully, and it didn't look great, but he wants it. So I think Harry Hall is a good season ahead of him. So what was the question of the 3 guys? Harry Hall, you didn't get.
Hold on, I've got another quick aside on that topic. Speaking of Ryder Cup, at the end of the day, the highest finisher in the European nations at the Century was a tie for 5th between Ludd and Thomas Dietrich. Viking Cup guys. If you need any more example that the Viking Cup carries the Ryder Cup on your back.
Tournament of Champions.
There you go. But the guys, Bermuda Specialist. I'm going to give you the Bermuda Specialist. You tell me who you like. Sepp, CK, Ben Griffin, Mac Hughes, I'll throw in there. Denny, CD, positional specialist. BSB Novak's a Bermuda guy. Harmon, Harry Ings, Berger, Billy Ho. There you go. Cole. Those are your guys.
I'm going to say Harry Ings and Sepp. I think the Bulldogs come to play this week. Harry Ings looked really good this week. The dude loves Hawaii too. as well as his roommate, Patton Kazire, Hawaii specialist, noted by you. He's low-key Bermuda specialist. And no, he could play well anywhere. But yeah, so I would go Harry Ings and Sepp. Sepp I did not see today, but I love the way Sepp played last week, and this is a better course for him.
I don't like who I'm going to pick. I mean, I love him as a person. I don't like betting him because it is always a mistake. But I might do it anyway. It's 60-1. I like Ben Griffin. Ben Griffin is hitting. If you could get a boots report on Ben Griffin for me tomorrow, I need to know how the driver looks. If he's driving it even in the realm of the fairway, if he's anywhere near, as long as the trees aren't blocking him from the fairway, let me know, because Tee to green is playing the best he ever has. And who's a Bermuda specialist?
He's the second answer that people give. It's either Chris Kirk or Ben Griffin. Yeah.
Yeah. He was T12 here on his debut, T30 last year. He's fucked with the putter both times he's come here. The putter's been the only thing holding him back. All of a sudden, he went from being only a good putter to only good tee to green. He's a guy who have been playing only Bermuda golf over the winter, played great down the stretch.
Never failed once.
Yeah,
he's never failed on positional Bermuda before. He's just never has.
No, Players almost won the Players the year that Scotty won the first time.
Yeah. So
and I will say Billy Ho is 80-1. Billy Ho is broken. You are reporting bad things about Billy Ho. Billy Ho is my guy. He's 5th in the dog rankings for a reason. And I do have a new potential rule that if somebody's over 20-1 and they're in the top 10 of the dog rankings, you automatically bet them. Those guys this week would be Billy Ho and Bobby Mack. But I can't also say that like a guy is going to play my guy. I have to give an honest take on my guy. And he seems broken to me. Do I maybe still bet him because he's 80-1? I bet him last week, but something's a little miss, and we need to get it right from Billy.
I think you should switch around those numbers, but actually stick to it. Like if they're top 5 in the dog rankings for that given week and above 40-1 auto.
Yeah. So I'll just bet Billy.
Yeah.
All right. I'm betting Billy.
It's Bermuda. It's a course that he plays well at. I remember 2 years ago, he was in a horrible form, and he was like 25-1 here.
Yeah. I mean, he's finished T18, T7. I'm betting Billy. I'll bet Billy. I'll bet Billy.
The biggest report on Billy is he doesn't know how to stop talking. He can't. He's just constantly talking.
He doesn't know how. It's impossible. Cole's 100-1. Cole, here's the thing. We talk shit about Cole on this podcast every week of the year. However, when you look, Cole's 100-1, he's normally like 40-1 or like 50-1. If he was ever going to play good, this would be the spot. His stats are fine. He's playing good golf. He didn't play good at Century, but like whatever, I don't care. It was T15 at the RSM, T6 at Zozo, T13 here last year. I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to bet Cole at 100-1.
Yeah, like Cole is just. This is a course for Cole. I remember when he was like the guy, like he had to win, like sooner than later, and he just
last
hasn't.
Year, I think he was like mega tipped.
For sure, that makes sense.
Hold on, let me see what his odds were last year. Just for quick check. Well, I looked this up. Do you see Luke Clance? People might be wondering. I know you didn't, but what's your thought on Luke Clance? Because if you want to nuke it off the tee, Luke Clance.
We've came to the conclusion a few weeks ago that Luke Clance is good at golf. So hopefully that pans out this week. Hopefully I see good things from what's his number, but I don't think I can bet Luke Clance. What is it?
Like 40-1.
Yeah, I thought we skipped over him, but yeah, I haven't seen Clance.
What do you think his odds were last year at the Sony?
I'm going to say 25.
30-1. Eric Cole was 30-1 last year at
Maybe
Sony. He's 100-1 this year, and he's playing fine. His stats look almost the same.
I'm on the record for saying Eric Cole will never win. I'm not. What am I saying? I'm not betting fucking Eric Cole. Good bet though. It's a good bet. That's the thing.
My opinion is if a guy is low dog, but he's in the triple digits, fine. You just don't want to burn low dog guys high on the card. So at the end of the day, I've got some low dog spots down the board. Corn Ferry guys, but we'll do random Hero of the Week here in a second. But let's talk Corn Ferry. A lot of new guys out there. Did you see any of the new guys? Who's catching your eye coming up from the Corn Ferry? I'm sure there's a lot of people maybe wanting to test out a Corn Ferry guy in their lineup this week. Maybe throw a top 10, top 20 type of wager. These guys' odds, for the most part, are long. 500-1 or beyond.
Yeah.
No one really knows anything about these guys. Boot seems like a great opportunity. Anything on the KFT players?
Saw a few KFT guys. One of them stuck out to me, and again, something that I see with my eyes, and I look back, and Adam already is on it. You wrote up Isaiah Salinda earlier in the week. Is that a fact?
Fact. On Monday, when we do our 10 players at the odds, I wrote up 11 players, I think, and one of them at 350 to 1. He's now 500 to 1. I didn't pull.
He's
like
750 on Rivers. I
wrote up Salinda because we saw him at Pine. And Salinda at Pine, when we saw him, I can picture it as clear as day. It was hole number 8, the one where Bryson got up and down from behind the green, the super steep one. And remember, the tee box was on the other side of the path. Like you would walk, they would tee off, walk in front of you, and then you'd cross. And some guy just nuked driver off the tee. And I was like, damn, that was impressive. And then we watched him a little bit, and it was Salinda. And then it jumped out to me because he had played at Shriners and was in the mix. No one had heard of this guy, and he was in the mix at Shriners. Then he won on the Corn Ferry. That week at Pine, he went on and finished T32. He gained tee to green across the board, and he's been top 25 in both of his PGA Tour starts tee to green. The guy striped. So that's why I wrote him up. And what did you see from him today?
So he was playing with Rico Horry and Joey Bucket Hats. And Rico Horry, you guys know, absolute master of the golf ball. Big guy, hits it on a string. Absolutely pummeled one. It was 172 ball speed because Joey Bucket Hats went over to the thing. It was like 172. Damn, bro, like you're crushing it. And then Salinda gets up there. By the way, if you don't know what Isaiah Salinda looks like, he looks like an NFL wide receiver, like just a built like a stud. And he got up there, hits it 20 by Hoey without a problem. And I didn't realize until like I walked out to the fairway. And I was like, is this guy serious? Plus 400, top 40, 750 to 1 outright on Bet Rivers.
Yeah, I'm in on Salinda. At the end of the day, and this is the thing about him, he was a nice amateur player. He won the Stanford Regional. Shout out Stanford Golf. He won the Western Intercollegiate.
Is he Stanford Cardinal? No, I think he went to USC.
Hold on, we have to know where he's from. That's part of being followers. Isaiah Salinda went to Stanford. Isaiah Salinda went to Stanford. We might be talking about a top 10 Stanford golfer of all time, and
so many of them.
Yeah, like he won some good tournaments. Also, watch out for him on the West Coast. He won the Pacific Coast Amateur. He was T3 in the U.S. Amateur. When this guy gets back to POA, we can't forget it. But no matter what happens to him this week, we stick with Salinda. He has shown that when he gets in the big events, he's qualified for the U.S. Open twice, which is impressive to do. Like qualifying for the U.S. Open 2 times in 3 years, no matter who you are as a player, is impressive. He showed up on the PGA Tour. He finished T7 at Shriners. Absolutely gaining across the board in every category. He then won on the Corn Ferry last year, played great at the U.S. Open, tee to green, T32. He could just be one of those guys who he's been waiting to get to the PGA Tour, and now he's here, and he has the confidence, and he's just going to let it rip. So TLDR, we are now the holders of a shit ton of Salinda stock. Like if in 2-3 months down the road, you want to come back and buy Salinda stock, the price is going up. I don't know if he'll play good this week, but I'm in on him over 500 to 1 every week this year. You can lock that in. Yeah,
he's absolute stud. In on Salinda.
Salinda, I looked up a lot of these guys. What I will say is on the KFT guys, I also did a good amount of digging on them statistically, got that in the model. I feel pretty good about the model with the KFT guys. There's a lot of interesting players. Our boy Tim Veeding, he's there.
Tim.
He's driver putter. Do you see Tim? You got any eyes on Tim?
No, I did not see Tim, but someone texted me about Tim today.
Good. I'm trying to see if any of the other KFT. Frankie, is it Kappen the third? People love that guy. To me, this week with the KFT guys, you don't have to chase the popular KFT guys. If you want to bet a KFT guy, just fine. Like it's the first time they're teeing off on tour. Look for guys who have played on tour before and played well. Like that's why I like Salinda. At least he's got some experience. And we've seen Murray last year and Henley 1 year back in the day, fresh off the Corn Ferry. So I think you at least have to consider the Corn Ferry guys. The other guy that I like, I completely forgot about this. I really like him. Max McGreevy. Your guy, Max McGreevy. Bermuda Specialist. You've loved McGreevy for years when he was on the tour, and he kept barely hanging on to his tour card and then would every now and then pop on Bermuda, T5 at Wyndham. He finally lost his card last year, went down to the KFT and he found his game on the KFT jersey. He won in June. He won again in August, finished T11 at the Black Desert. Then he went over to Japan, played against Hideki, Akshay Bhatia, and Sean Norris, who went on and won on the DP. And he beat them all. He just beat Hideki. He's 125-1 this week. I kind of like McGreevy, but he's your guy. Have you seen him? What's the status on McGreevy?
Have not seen McGreevy, but he is one of the ultimate Bermuda specialists and an absolute stud with a wedge in his hand. If he can drive it straight, I want to see him stuff some. He will stuff some wedges if he drives it straight.
And he's been driving it straight. That's the statistic thing about him. The reason he played so good last year on the Corn Ferry is he seems to have figured his driver out. So if he can translate that to the PGA Tour, purely from like a who's winning golf, we just saw Matt McCarty come up. Yeah. It's 60-1. I mean, obviously this field's better, but like, I like
strokes and similar name. I'm down.
Who do you like in the low Husky market this week between CT, Damon, and Nick Taylor?
I would say CT. This is definitely a CT golf course for sure.
Thor Bjornsson. I know you haven't seen him, but he's your guy. I feel like you have a sense for Michael Thor. What's the deal with him? 90-1.
Yeah, he can hit fairways and drive on a string, or he could bomb it. I thought I saw Thor Bjornsson from a distance. Ended up being our guy, Nick Dunlap, who didn't look great. Nick, makes sense. They're both young studs. So yeah, it was Nick Dunlap who has some other problems on his hand. He's got a girlfriend now, so he's got other focuses.
Well, here's the thing.
It could alter his. It really could alter his.
Here's my thing with Nick Dunn. I'm a little disappointed with what I'm hearing for the rumors because, yes, if you're going to be Tiger Woods, which we know Nick Dunn is going to be Tiger Woods, you can't start living the Tiger Woods lifestyle before you win a few majors. So I'm a little concerned with what I'm hearing. I need him locked in on winning majors right now. But what are his odds this week? Nick Dunn,
80,
125-1. If
Nick Dunn is,
yeah, like if Nick Dunn won, I mean, I don't love it.
I mean, that's a joke.
125-1 on Nick. Luke Clanton's 40-1, and Nick Dunn has already won twice.
No sense.
That's great.
No sense. Wow. I mean, it makes sense why Nick Dunlap is kind of going down this path. Like you give a 20-year-old $20 million.
That's what I was thinking. I was like
that Tiger Woods didn't have that.
No. How could his life is the dream? I mean, shout out Nick Dunn. Like he should be
he lives
living
like number 2 life.
He should be living. He probably can't even imagine how he found himself in this situation. I mean, he does because he believes in greatness. But amazing, Nick Dunn. 125. If Nick Dunn wins at 125-1 and we're not on him, that's bad on us. But I don't know if I can get there this week.
I could be canceled the pod.
Random Euro of the week. A lot of options here, George, because we have the DP players, though. They're not really playing because they're practicing the Ryder Cup. They take it so seriously that they're doing the Hero Cup over on the DP. We also have some very concerning rumors regarding 2 of the marquee DP players who are supposed to be coming to the PGA Tour. I'm hearing strong rumors about both Tommy McKibbs and Thristy Law potentially going to the DP. Thristy plugging in on Stinger. Legion picking up McKibben. They're not. I was expecting to be able to talk about them as Random Year of the Week this week, Jers. It's not looking like we're going to be able to. Definitely this week. Maybe not going forward. But here's who you've got: Shamey P's 100-1. We talked about Tommy Deets earlier. Svensson, Random Canadian of the Week. Trudeau's stepping down. There's no leadership in Canada right now, so we'll.
My answer is yes for Svensson. By the way,
well, I'm just going to get to him. So Svensson gets thrown in for the time being into Random Year of the Week. Kanaya, Random Year of the Week. Griot, 150-1 on Griot. Hadwin, Random Year of the Week. Norlander, Jesper Svens. Matty Schmid's price. No one's price is more volatile than Matty Schmid. He's 250-1 this week. Sometimes he's like 50-1. People just decide that it's Matty Schmid week. He can't chip, but we got him ranked players. Cage Lee, Random Year of the Week. He's 301. EVR, Thomas Rosenmueller. There's so many options this week. Aldi Potts, Tim Vieding, Yannick Paul's brother, Jeremy, Cristobal del Solar, that guy who shot like 52.
Yannick Paul's in this field?
No, his brother, Jeremy Paul.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know you, Jeremy. Jeremy played a ton of golf today. But
and it 1,000-1 to round out Random Year of the Week options. Again, I need to hear from you who you choose. Vinny Norms is 1,000-1 this week. PGA Tour winner.
2-time worldwide winner.
Yeah, he beat Rory.
I think my random hero of the week is, I said it, it's Jesper Svensson. Prep King, carries around that GC quad like it's his smartphone, and just always smiling. And this is a golf course that he should play well on. He played so well on the DP last year, so I think Jesper could be have a good week this week on a golf course that makes sense for him.
Yeah, if Jesper finishes T16, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, by the way, every single country outside of America counts for random hero of the week outside of Puerto Rico. So when we know that because we have random.
Puerto Rico. You like camp this week, Bermuda? If there was you could be down for some camps. How do you play last week?
Floodgates.
How did camps play last week? 57th.
I think
that's not last place though. So good on him.
No, he beat Mormon.
Here's my random Euros of the week. I will say. Oh, also Rio is random Euro of the week, and it sucks that Rio's broken because this would be Rio course if he was not broken.
Yeah, he did not look good today, but I hope he plays well.
I'm gonna go. I like Rosenmuller from the KFT. In all honesty, I crunched the numbers on the KFT, and I like Rosenmuller. Random Euro, but he's actually super American of the week. Another guy who I like who stripes on the Corn Ferry. Kevin Roy, he's back on the PGA Tour. He's a guy who used to be top 10 in the model like every week, but he earned his way back. He's a terrible putter, but he could sneak his way around this course and mix.
He was first round leader somewhere almost.
I forgot Christopher Ventura in random Hero of the week.
I was
And
you said
Christopher Ventura, he's 750 to 1. You described him having the heaviest ball like you've seen. I get kind of what you're saying, but paint the picture of what you saw from Christopher Ventura today to finish off the pod.
So Christopher Ventura is playing with, I think, an amateur actually, and this 22-year-old or 23-year-old Japanese guy. So just a small little guy. Chris Ventura is a stud, like 6'3", Norway born. He was the guy that Victor Hovland's coaches recruited when they were recruiting the Norwegians, and they thought Ventura was going to be the stud because visually he looks the part. And I see him swing. He's hitting a long iron off of a tee, while the other guys are hitting drivers. 2 drivers are in the fairway. Christopher Ventura hits a long iron, mashes it by them, and it sounds like it sounds like a Minwoo Lee drive, like that. It was just so pure, so loud. I'm like,
just
yeah,
like
this
that
is the guy.
flat like thud sound where it's just like
yeah. It's just out of the center of the face. So he had a year. He was on the tour. He was on the PGA Tour, and he had a 2-year stretch where he played bad golf, but he made his way back, and Christopher Ventura is back.
Yeah, I mean, like, to your point, then that's a true story that Ventura was wanted more than Hovland, but they obviously got both down there at Oklahoma State. He won an NCAA regional, which to me is always a big college success. He won the Big 12 men's championship. He came out on the Corn Ferry his first year in 2019 and won twice and finished third in 2 other KFT events. So he earned his way onto the tour easily. Showed up on tour, held onto his card the first year, played again the second year, but just kind of fell off. Couldn't really get into the mix. Dropped down to the Corn Ferry, and he earned his way back. And if you're telling me he's striping, I'm not going to get it. It's hard to say I'm not going to get in on 750 to 1 because at the end of the day, if we talked about a guy in the pod and he won at 750 to 1 and we weren't on him, it'd be the worst thing that's ever happened. But I don't think he can actually win. But he's playing nice golf. He's got the experience. Give me Christopher Ventura as my random Euro of the week. I'll use him in DFS. Maybe I'll bet him top 40. I can't hear what you're saying about him and not be excited because I can picture it in my head.
Yeah, if you see it in person, you will eventually. You're going to be impressed.
Well, Jers, that's beautiful. I wish I was there because when you talk about seeing the ball flights, the stripe shows, it's a real thing. We've said it a million times. If you get the chance to go to a practice round, go do it. You've crushed it for Boots these first 2 weeks of the season. Everybody appreciates it. Yeah, last week, not a winner. But this week, refocused. Maybe it is a winner. Hitting winners is hard. I feel good about this week. I'll be honest. Whether I'm not saying I'm going to hit a winner. I just feel good about the intel we're getting about the course this week. I think there's some edges to be played. Get over to the site. $34.99 for the monthly. We'll be at Boots Riviera, assuming Riviera is okay. Seems like some crazy shit is happening there, so hopefully everything is fine there. But that'll be the next Boots. Or maybe we'll do one sooner. Who knows? But, Jers, appreciate the time. Safe travels back to Hawaii, and everything will be up on the site. back to Florida.
I
Yeah.
wish I was going to another island.
Yeah.
I wish I was going to another island.
All right. Good stuff. Talk to you later.
Peace out.